Bharatanatyam?
My lifeline. Consider Bharatanatyam or any Indian classical dance as the pure science, and consider Bollywood as the applied science. My shows were free of charge because all I wanted was people to come, watch, understand, and encourage
Carnatic music?
my rhythm of life. Alphabets don't change. You use according to your own creativity, but don't change the alphabet. Don't change the basics. If you learn any form of Indian classical dance, you can really do well any other dance form, no matter Bollywood, hip hop, or whatever it is.
Namaste. Welcome to today's episode of Rising Beyond Border, where we bring in real life and unfiltered migrant stories. Every now and then, we come across people who would slowly drift away from their tradition, from their culture. And then there are some who would respect it and appreciate it. But there are only very few who would dedicate their lives to preserving it, nurturing it, and passing it on to the next generation. I'm very privileged to have one of such person who has dedicated her life in preserving the Indian art culture. Umaji, welcome to the show. It's a privilege to have you here with us.
Namaste, Shampi. Thank you so much for having me in your show. I too feel very much honored and privileged to be part of this endeavor that you are taking.
So, Umaji, we will start with the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit more about your childhood in Kerala?
I am from Bharat, Kerala, in the north part of Kerala, which is North Malabar. And I grew up in a very small village called Purameri. I really want to mention that name because it means so much to me. And then, when I was probably 3 years or 4 years, my parents, especially my mom, noticed that I respond very well to any type of music or rhythmic patterns. And I would just move around or move my hands or feet. Then they thought, oh, okay, this girl might be interested in learning dance. So that's how it began. And at that time, there weren't many teachers who were able to teach classical dance in that area of the village. So it was a big task for my parents to find a teacher. She's known as Natikalalayam Padmini Baburaj. She's my guru. So my parents had to bring her from another town, find a rental house for her, and then she started to live in that village and started to teach me and few other girls. That's how I began learning Bharatanatyam.
That's a really impressive story because, I understand in the regional villages of India and back then, can I ask which year are we talking about?
It is about 1977, 78.
Okay. So back in 1977, 78, we can imagine how difficult it and how isolated were the small towns or the villages in every state of India. And I would really say that just hearing that your parents made so much effort in finding a teacher, convincing her to come to a village. Did they ever share the story? How did they even manage to convince her?
Actually, only a little bit I can remember. So both my parents were teachers. They're now retired. So one of their colleagues' daughter was learning from another teacher. So I think they kind of liaised with the colleague, and then found out details of this teacher, and that's how they found the person, and then somehow managed to bring her to the village and then arrange things for her so that she could make a living as well. Because it was not easy for a dance teacher in those days to make a living out of just teaching dance. Nowadays, it has changed back in Kerala, but although it is not the case here, but that's a different story. So it was not very easy for them to meet both ends of living just by teaching few students. But my parents were very generous. They used to support every single way they could to promote that teaching, that culture in our village. So I'm really grateful to my parents to to help that, or to help develop my skills which they found.
And did your parents were also interested in dancing themselves or any other form of Indian art, be it singing, Carnatic music, or anything like that?
Yes, so my mother was trained in Kathakali. Kathakali is a traditional art form from Kerala. So she was a trained person in Kathakali, and she has been trained in Carnatic music, vocal and violin. And my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was so interested in music and arts, especially Carnatic music and Veena. She was so passionate about those. Although she couldn't do anything, because my grandmother was born and brought up in a very orthodox family, so they were not allowed to go out of the house. But they were teachers brought into the house. It was a big joint family then. So the teachers would come to the house and teach children both anything like grammar or Sanskrit or reading or writing or dances. No matter what, people would come to their house and teach. So that's how it starts. That's the history, or the inheritance I might have had in terms of arts and culture and literature.
Like you said, your mother was trained in Kathakali and then you opted for Bharatanatyam. So did it come naturally or like why was this difference? Like did she not persuade you to learn Kathakali?
When I was 3 or 4, I didn't know any difference between Bharatanatyam or Kathakali. All I might have done was just, spontaneously move to the rhythm patterns I hear. I think maybe the only teacher available at that time was to teach Bharatanatyam, especially. So that's how I ended up in learning Bharatanatyam. But later on, as I grew, I found out about the other forms, Mohiniyattam, Kuchipudi. When later on, I got trained in those two as well, Mohiniyattam and Kuchipudi. But then I was so interested to learn and understand about the 8 classical dance forms of India, which are Bharatanatyam, Mohiniyattam, Kuchipudi, Kathakali, Odissi, Manipuri, Satriya, and Kathak. For me, they are like sisters. So I was so passionate about finding out more about that.
Like you said that you started at the age of 3 and 4. Can you talk us more through your journey?
So yeah, so I continued to learn, and then I was participating in school youth festivals, because it was a big thing back in Kerala then. So the training was really vigorous for those things. Like I had to learn and practice and go for rehearsals, but still you are doing your studies and everything. And then when I went to my undergrad degree, that is when we thought of having a small school in our own village. So essentially, my learning was slowly become a teaching kind of thing at that time. And then my guru for Carnatic music, him, and then there was his brother who was a teacher in Mridangam. 3 of us started to think about having a school in our own village, because there was no facility for any student who was keen to learn anything in that area. They all had to travel maybe 1.5 hours minimum to the neighboring town, or it was very difficult, and traveling was not so easy or cheap at that time too, considering how the people were in that area of the city. So, and at that time, like I said, my learning slowly started to become teaching.
I think it's essentially coming from your challenges and experience where you struggled to find the teacher, your parents struggled to find a teacher. So I think that's where possibly the noble thought of opening up the school in the area came up. And what was your age when you actually started teaching others as well?
I might be around 18 or 19 years old when I started to teach for the first time. There was excitement as well as nervousness, when I started to teach. And I still have contact with my very first student. But she is not a dancer by profession, but she is a dentist. But she still is in touch with me. Yeah, but and that is one thing that I have earned over the period, like a big network of students. And I find it's a very valuable set of asset, and it makes me feel very happy and proud, so that people do remember you in a nice and artistic way, which I quite enjoy.
Because you're also trained in Carnatic music. Can you tell us a little bit more about that journey? How did you grew the interest in Carnatic music, and how difficult or easy was it to learn, again, living in the same small village?
Yeah, so my mom sings well, and then this is what she told me. I don't remember. And she told me that when she was pregnant with me, she would sing every single day evening. She would sit in the prayer room and sing at least one kruti that she has learned from her guru. Maybe that is, because just like Abhimanyu has listened to the chakra, Padma Vyuha, while he was in his mother's womb, only half of it. Similarly, I might have heard what my mother was singing while I was in her womb. Anyway, when I was little, I used to sing with her, not words, like make and try to sound match or match the sounds kind of thing. So again, and then she took me to the temple in Guruvayur, and she started my first lesson in front of Lord Krishna there. Again, she would teach me a little bit every day, but there was no proper teacher to teach me again. So that was another challenge that my parents had to face, because they didn't want to stop giving me a chance if I had that interest to learn and progress. So again, my dad had to travel another place, which is more like a hilly area where there weren't many buses, only jeeps would go. So my dad had to travel all the way and find this teacher. And finally, she agreed to come every Sunday morning. She would travel at about 2 hours from her house and come to my house. And we arranged few other kids as well, so that she get some decent remuneration out of her time that she spends. But that teacher couldn't actually teach me for long due to her personal circumstances. So then my dad had to find another he's Sri P.D. Mohanan sir, and he's the one who actually paved the base of Carnatic music lessons to me. I still remember those lessons, 1 hour lesson every Wednesday evening. That was not easy for an 8-year-old girl at that time, because it was so demanding. I had to practice, I had to learn notations, write down things, and then I had to make sure that I'm practicing every week before the next lesson. It was not an easy journey. And then after Mohanan sir left, I got the training from Sri Tarani Ramachandran. And he's the one who actually gave me more exposure into Carnatic music, Veena, and teaching, and going to competitions, going to AAR concerts, going to other concerts, and getting the support of instruments, how to turn shruti, how to tune Veena, how to tune tamburu, all those essentials that a musician must know. So that is, that was not an easy journey. You have to work hard. You have to sacrifice a lot, because, when you're a little girl, sometimes you feel like playing with your friends as well. But that's a time for your lesson or your practice or your rehearsal or a sadhakam. But then you are actually sacrificing your time for playing with your friends, for practicing or learning. So that's a lot of hard work and effort put into at that time.
I think I can only imagine, what life would have been in India back in Kerala in early 60s, 70s, because nowadays even learning is slightly easy. I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's slightly easy because of how many different methods we have got, and internet has actually changed the world around us. So the means are, way more, and it's a lot more development as well. Okay.
Yes, I
So
agree.
yeah. So coming back again to your childhood, I came to know that you were the winner of multiple awards back in Kerala, and you received 5 times continuously in a row Kalatilikam Award. Would you like to share a little bit more about that journey with us?
Sure. Said I was going to school in my own village, Purameri, until 1983. But at the end of 1983, my mother had to go to another city called Neeleshwaram, which is closer to Kasaragod, northern and end of Kerala, because her father was there and her father passed away. So my mother had to go and live with her mother. So which means she took me and my little brother with her to there. Then I got enrolled in a school over there. So it was a new environment for me. It was different, and I couldn't continue with my lessons at there because everything changed. But luckily, I was looked after by the teachers in that school, and they allowed me to participate in the school youth festivals over there. So until then, I used to actually participate. Even in year 1 or year 2, I did participate. My mom would teach me something, and she would take me to the competitions. She would sing the background music for me for dancing. That's how I performed for the very few stages. And then, but in the new school, they were bit more organized, and they had a better team of teachers and students over there. So they took me into the team to participate for their school. So then I was allowed to participate in Bharatanatyam and a folk dance and a light music competition. And I think I got prizes for all the three, and then I became an individual champion at that time. And then that was a big thing for the school, and they were so proud of me. And that's the first time I got an individual championship. And then I went back to my own village after 2 years, and then I joined high school. That is when 1986 I got the Kalatilakam title for the first time. So Kalatilakam is awarded to a girl who scores the highest points by herself in competition items. So I think I participated in dance items and singing and veena and poem recitation, etc. And then that's how I was awarded the LM title of Kalatilakam. I think I might have felt proud for sure, but I don't know whether I was happy or was just a normal process. I can't really feel anything strange or big now. Just part of it.
And then how did winning it for the second time or third time felt? Was it like, something that part of your regular life that you felt?
Yeah, I think so. And then it was more for the school than for me, because when a student from a certain school get the championship, then that particular school gets more points towards winning the entire competition. So I was really proud in that way, because I was able to contribute more to my school and my entire team. So I was happy in that way.
Based on the research that I did for award, it's a very prestigious award, firstly, and then secondly, I've heard that any girls who were aspiring to become actresses, even they would compete in such competitions, and once you win, your name is all over in the newspaper back in those days. So did you had any such experience as well?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, winning titles were a big thing for the media. They would take interviews or photographs of receiving awards. And then that actually recollects a memory of me getting invited to inaugurate a photo studio, like a photograph studio. So you get invited, and then you will be taken in a special car, and then you get, I don't know, when looking back, I think I might have felt a bit awkward to do that. But I just went with my parents, and my brother and sister, they would just love to come with me. They enjoyed those moments. They would just accompany me everywhere, because we get a special treatment, like, and then we get to drink or eat sweets, things like that. So they enjoyed those things. And for me, I think I was feeling a bit not shy, like a little bit awkward, but I did manage to overcome those things, I would think.
And you also received a national award for dancing. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. Although I was getting trained in Bharatanatyam, Mohiniyattam and Kuchipudi, it was more like a practical aspects of dancing. But my grandmother used to tell me that, oh, Uma, for you, dancing is not just dancing, it's a tapasya for you. I don't know, she always told me that. And then I wanted to know more about behind what we are dancing, because it's not just a performance, it's a science according to me. It's a fifth Veda, Natya Veda. So keeping that in mind, I always wanted to get some kind of qualification or something so that I can be proud of myself, or I can ascertain myself that I actually am learning better of what I'm doing, not just going on a stage, not just getting dressed. I wanted to know more about what is behind or what is inside. So that is why I wanted to enroll for that accreditation, which was done by Kaladi SSRD, SS Shangara Accreditation Center in Kaladi. Kaladi is where the birthplace of Sri Guru Adi Shankaracharya. And this institution, they were very unique and pioneers in getting these kind of accreditation, especially in Kerala. So then I had to research a lot on Abhinaya Darpana, on Natya Shastra, or the local art forms based on Mohiniyattam. And so I had read a lot. I found out more books. I found out audios and videos. And then I had to prepare a margam by myself, margam, the repete of Bharatanatyam. And then I trained myself. It was such a long process. It was very good. Result was really, really good. That's how I got my accreditation in Bharatanatyam and ending in the national award as well.
I can, understand that, your entire childhood, your teenager and young age was, dedicated towards either Bharatanatyam or other forms of dances in India, as well as Carnatic music. And then in 2008, there was a decision made to move to New Zealand. So when initially you first heard that, you will possibly be migrating to New Zealand, how big that decision was, or did it come as a shock? Did it make you feel like that, or your entire life will be left behind in India?
So I got married in 2000, and at that time my husband was studying towards his ACCA. But he always wanted to migrate to New Zealand because he's a hardcore cricket fan. He plays cricket and he watches cricket day night, no matter what. So I don't know, he found out that no matter how old he gets, he will still be able to play cricket if he is in New Zealand. It's a pure personal choice. He has been trying to migrate to New Zealand ever since. And then, so when we got married and we had our daughter, and then we were in a position to migrate to New Zealand. At that time, my school, our school in Purameri was still doing good, and I was working as a postal assistant in Department of Post as well at that time. But then it wasn't shocking because I knew that he might be going abroad when our marriage was fixed. So, but it was a bit sad to leave everything behind because I was so attached to the school. I was teaching in another institution as well. I was performing. But on top of everything, family was important for me as well. I was with my family, so I was happy to move to a new place and explore the opportunities that new country could offer me as well.
So when you came in Christchurch back in 2008, can you talk us through how were your few initial weeks or month? How challenging was it to settle in a new country, especially coming from a small village in Kerala?
Yeah, so we just three of us, we two and our daughter. So we just came with one suitcase. We found a property to rent and we moved in. And then my husband was job hunting. We had to find a school for our daughter. I think my husband was quite organized in those areas. I must admit, he did very good online research and he found out that these areas are okay for us to live. There will be a school for her. So it was not too bad to begin with. And then I think in one month or two, he found a job. The first few months were okay. And then I started to apply for jobs. That was a bit challenging for me, finding a job for me. And that is whenever I prepare my CV, I would add at the end, I'm trained in Bharatanatyam, trained in Carnatic music. These are my hobbies. This is my passion. And one day I applied for a marketing job. It was a small job in, I think, CPIT itself. And then I got a call from the head of the marketing department of CPIT. I was so thrilled. Okay, I'm going to get the job. But the happiness didn't last long, because she told me, I'm not going to give you the job, but the reason I ring you is something different. Then I asked, well, why would you call me if you're not going to give me the job? And then she told me she had a friend, and he who was teaching Bharatanatyam in Christchurch, and then she was about to relocate to another country, and then she wanted to hand over her existing students to somebody who would be keen to do that. And she asked me, are you keen to do that? Then I was more than happy to do that. At least I can get a network, I can do something that I would love to do. And then so my application for a marketing job ended up in having my first 4 students in Christchurch to teach Bharatanatyam.
So when you started teaching over here, how was the feeling? Like, did you feel like something similar how you felt as a 18-year-old when you had started your own school back in your small town?
Yeah, I was so happy, to be honest. I was so relieved that it was like, some pressure taken off you, because that creativity or the desire to do what you love to do was always there. Although I was trying to find a job so that we could settle safely here, but this was always inside me. So I was so happy to get that opportunity. But teaching in India and teaching in New Zealand was totally different. And because the kids here taught in a different way, they cannot accept criticism in the same way that they would do back in India. Or let me rephrase it. When I was taught, getting a scold was not taken personally. We would accept, oh, they are correcting me, it is for my own benefit. But here it's more about encouraging them. Do this, try this. Keep encouraging them a lot, so that they will not stop learning. They will continue learning. They will be happy to do what they are doing here. Because I have found they will explore many things, but they may not continue all, at least 1 or 2. So encouraging the kids here is the challenging part that I found in teaching in New Zealand.
Okay. So then you started the school with, 4 children. And do you remember like how easy or difficult was it back then? Like to make people understand what Bharatanatyam is, be it people from India, because sometimes when you are away from your tradition, you forget about your dances as well. And not only just Indians, but the people from the other cultures, were they accepting of the fact that this is the Indian traditional dance form that you're teaching?
Well, they do know about classical dances. They do know that Bharatanatyam is a South Indian classical dance. But most of the people, they don't really want to go and watch if somebody is performing for some reason, unless their own kids are performing. So yes, it was challenging to get audience when my students started to perform. I remember the first performance that we had. So I had about 6 students to perform on the stage, and then we had 12 people to watch as audience. That was my first performance. So it was so difficult to get people just to come and watch, because my shows were free of charge, because all I wanted was people to come, watch, understand, and encourage kids so that they can continue to learn and progress in their own cultural aspects. So it was very challenging to begin with to get support from audience. Funding was another issue, but getting audience itself was a very big challenge. But it is changing now, because people are now enjoying or embracing the uh, aspect of classical dances here a bit more. And then they are showing more interest in coming and supporting and encouraging the kids or the students.
What were the other challenges that you came through and what you had to do to overcome them?
I think most of the students that I have now who are keen, or either they are keen or their parents are keen, because if the young people, like kids like 3-year-old or 4-year-olds, they don't know about the dances, because their parents are keen to learn or teach their kids the traditional art form. That's why they are bringing. So the other challenge I'm still facing, it's a space to have the lessons properly. So right now I use my garage. I have slightly modified the garage and I use this as a studio. But if the group is slightly larger, I find it difficult. But if I am going to hire a space, the cost effectiveness is not there, because I offer the lessons on a very moderate kind of fees. That's what I believe, because what I want is the students or the parents should not be feeling the pressure of a finance, of time, or whatever. They should be able to just come and enjoy what they are doing. They should be able to learn and perform happily. So to make that happen, it is challenging in terms of space, in terms of finance. Those challenges are still there, getting the music. But somehow, when it comes to a performance or a show, we have a small team of parents who support in everything, including my daughter. So somehow we manage to make things work when it comes to a show.
Irrespective of these challenges, you have managed to perform some of the productions in Christchurch. So, can you just talk us through your productions?
So my first big production was Bharatam in 2015, and from then onwards, we try to do a big show every alternate year. So we did Bharatam in 2015, Mayuram in 17, Anandam 19, and then Lalitam, and the last year was Mohanam. So we tried to come up with a theme. For example, last year Mohanam was based on Krishna. So most of the pieces were around Krishna, or set in the Raga Mohanam. And then we would select the compositions or pieces that suit each group depending on their age and then their abilities, and then come up with choreography, and then get the music recorded and start the preparations, get the rehearsals. And finally, the day when I see the kids enjoying with their friends, getting ready, doing the altar to each other, things like that make me feel very happy. So that happiness actually takes away all the other stress or challenges we might have come across through the process.
I also noticed that your school has a motto which is Dance to Unite. That's a really nice motto.
Yeah, it was such a spontaneous thing, because I remember one year we had to give a performance to one of the Diwali shows in Christchurch, and we didn't have even a Facebook page during that time. So then I thought, we are going to do this, so we need to do something about it. And then 2-3 weeks before the show, I was just spending my nights to get the FB page set up, get my visiting card set up. And then when I had to design my business card, the design asks me to have a logo. Then I just started to think, oh, what am I doing here? What do I do? Why am I dancing? What does it bring? Then I suddenly thought that, okay, different types of people are coming here, no matter what age they are, or no matter what language they speak, or no matter what country they belong to originally, they all are coming together to dance. So which means we are uniting people through dancing. That's how we reached in that motto of Dance to Unite.
Your school also does a lot of performance for the old age home communities and for fundraising. So how did that idea come in that you wanted to go and perform for old age homes?
Because we live in a very peaceful and friendly society. Fortunately, we are very fortunate to have that. And then when I get some invitations or inquiries about giving performances in old age homes, I try to do them as much as we can, because when we go there and then perform for the people over there, it gives us so much happiness. They are so happy to see us. They are so happy to see the colorful costumes, the music, the melody, and the diversity that we bring to their otherwise monotonous life, or the brightness that we bring there. So those kind of things make all of us feel very happy. There are small things that we could give back to society. So if wherever possible, we try to do that at least once or twice in a year, giving to the old age homes and things like that.
As you said that you have been teaching Bharatanatyam over here, but you're also trained in Carnatic music. So do you also teach Carnatic music over here, and how has been the uptake about that?
Oh, yes, I do teach Carnatic music here. And then people are interested to learn, but it is the biggest challenge is to get audience, a supportive audience when it comes to a Carnatic concert here. To promote that kind of community who are aware of or who are keen to enjoy Carnatic music, we have started to celebrate NZ Music Month, the month of May from 2021. So every year we keep a small concert called Sangeetam. So wherein my students, they will perform whatever they have been learning, no matter what level they are. They just perform. And then I try to include Hindustani music because that's also Indian classical music. Hindustani music or any traditional folk type music that comes from any part of the world. We try to incorporate that as well. So slowly we are trying to increase the number of people who are aware of Carnatic music or who can enjoy Carnatic music and slowly try to build that too. So another effort is I try to bring at least one concert in Christchurch. So this year we are bringing Vivek Sadasivam. He will be performing, and the event is known as Karnamritam. So I'm hoping people will come and watch and support. Because unless the kids get exposed to the type of music, they won't be interested in. So that is another initiative we are trying to do. Get them as much opportunities to perform or to listen to and then get used to the beautiful branch of music that we have inherited.
And how many students would you have? Like you said that you have got around 80 students who come and learn Bharatanatyam. How many students would come and learn Carnatic music on an average?
I think I have around 20 or 22 students. They all range from like different age groups. Yeah, but they are learning now. They're slowly progressing too.
Do you find that is it just the Indian or South Asian community that are interested in learning it, or do you actually find the people from the other ethnicities as well who are interested to learn?
I did have few non-Asian students. They were keen to learn music and dance. Yes, so there is interest from wider community as well.
Another question that I would like to ask you is around the traditional dances in their true form and its comparison to Bollywood. And I'll personally share something that I experienced. So recently in Auckland, I had gone to one of my friend's daughter's cultural performance. And what I noticed that every country, they were doing their traditional art forms. Like Japan, they did their cultural dance. There was China who performed their dance. And same with other countries. So in my mind, I was expecting that when the Indian group will come, they're going to perform on any of these dance forms, be it Kathakali, be it Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Mohiniyattam, or even, folk dances like, Punjabi, or, we've got so many different type of Rajasthani folk dance all across the country. But then, suddenly the song started playing Radha on the dance floor. And I was like, why this? So I just wanted to know, like, what are your views on Bollywood being more popular in other countries and it being looked as a traditional dance where it is not a traditional dance, and how difficult or frustrating do you find?
Yeah. So I do love Bollywood music. I do love watching them. But for me, what I keep on telling people who does dancing, see, consider Bharatanatyam or any Indian classical dance as the pure science and consider Bollywood as the applied science. Because if you want to be good at computer science, you should be good at maths, basic maths. Maths is a pure science, whereas computer science is an applied one. So similarly, if you learn any form of Indian classical dance, you can really do well any other dance form, no matter Bollywood, no matter pop, hip hop, or whatever it is. So for me, learning a classical dance form is important to have the skills to develop any other dancing skills. So learn your pure science first and apply to any other branch of science. That is how I take when people actually do Bollywood. But it's not a surprise because when I started to teach here, I was approached by many people and then I was told that if I just continue to teach Bharatanatyam, I won't be able to get students. So you just switch to Bollywood. But then my response was, but that's okay. Even if I have only 4 students, if they are committed, I'm more than happy with it. So yeah, it was challenging to get that space in teaching and performing with Bharatanatyam only, where Bollywood was so prevalent. It still is. But people have an appetite and endurance to watch Bharatanatyam as well. It is slowly changing, which is good.
And same thing, like something similar, I'll say that because now the social media is really important aspect of our lives. Do you feel that even over there, Bollywood gets more attention than our classical dances? So, what is your take on that? And people doing a lot of time fusion dances. Do you feel it disrespectful, or you again like the way you said that it's a science and applied science, so you are more accepting of that?
Yeah, I think we need to be accepting of the change of time and then how the new generations look into arts or how they use technology. They are more into technology. So we cannot say it is wrong. For me, it is alphabets don't change no matter how you use ABCD or the Aksharmala, they don't change. But you use according to your own thoughts or your own creativity. But don't change the alphabet. As long as you are sticking to the basics, I think I am okay with it. But don't change the basics.
Because both you and I, we are migrant. So do you feel that us as a migrant, we carry more responsibility in nurturing our culture over here compared to who's particularly was born in New Zealand, or if you had continued back in India? Do you feel a added responsibility to preserve the dance and the art form in its true form?
Yes, I do think because if you were in India, it is part of you. It is always there. It's just parallel. And if you were born in New Zealand, you may not be as exposed to a person who was born and brought up in India. So, like you said, because we are migrants who are brought up in a different environment and now we living in a totally different environment, I think it actually adds to the responsibility to us to continue to grow, sustain, and pass on to the next generation whatever we have in us. Otherwise, I think it would be an injustice to the efforts taken by our parents or our forefathers.
When you watch your students performing on the stage and when they perform well, how do you feel? And there could be some students where you might have felt, oh, they are doing better than how I dance. So as a teacher, how does it feel?
Oh, I'm always happy to watch kids growing. For example, one of my older students back from Kerala, she has taken Mohiniyattam as the subject, and then now she's a lecturer in Mohiniyattam, and she's a very good performer over there as well. So instances like that actually make me feel very happy and proud. And I feel really proud to see that I have actually given some students the seed to nurture their skills and grow from there. So it's a happy moment for me.
It's been, around 2 decades that you have been living in New Zealand, but do you still miss Kerala? Do you still, feel like, going back? Um and what are a few things that you actually miss about Kerala and in India?
Yes, I do. Well, I do miss Kerala because it's my hometown. I have been fortunate enough to have a good supporting family and a good set of people around me who are there to support me in anything that I want to do. But still, things like getting, for example, if I wanted to do a quick performance, I could get a live orchestra over there, which is not possible there. Or getting music recorded, it's so easy over there because I can just tell somebody, this is the music, this is the beat, this is the raga, you just do this much for me, and I want the recording by this day. But that's not possible here due to not having enough trained people here. So that is one thing I'm thinking about to get more people trained or more people take part in the exams so that we get a better set of skilled people here to continue to perform and rehearse. Not just performing, learning is important. So to have good learning environment, we need to have more trained people. properly trained people. So that is what I'm trying to work towards.
Machi, I must admit, so far I've spoken to so many migrants, and everyone would usually just say, I miss the food, I miss the clothes, I miss my family, I miss my friends. So, hearing this response from you just makes me feel that how dedicated you are towards these Indian art, and that they matter the most to you rather than anything else. So it's really inspiring and commendable just to talking to someone who is so dedicated towards these art forms and trying to preserve our culture. I would like to know, like, what success means to you today.
Wow, that's a big question. Um, it can be of varying aspects. Growing and learning, like as I grow, I learn more, and I keep learning as I grow. That is one part of success for me. And when I learn and grow, it gives me inner peace. That is a success for me. I'm able to live according to my values here, and I'm making some meaningful progress too. So that's also a success for me. Yeah, inner peace is very important. Learning is important. Growing is important. Making strong relationships with you, the people around you, and the society is important. I think those are all different aspects of success. A success for me.
Have found consistently in your journey is that you were born in a small town and you worked your way through, and it's always it's always difficult to build something in smaller areas, right? So if I talk about, if you had to start a school in maybe Kochi in Kerala back then, it would have been easier compared to starting a school in a small village. Similarly, starting something in Auckland or Wellington would have been easier compared to promoting the culture and preserving the culture in Christchurch. So, at times, do you find it frustrating, or do you feel more privileged that you are doing in the parts of the region which are more isolated and where you don't have so much facilities or interest?
Yeah, I think, well, at times we do get frustrated, but I think on the other side, we are able to use the skills that we have and then share it with the community here. So that I think I'm thinking more positive about it, because I'm able to do what I can do in this small place as well. But yeah, of course, there are challenges, but on top of that, I still feel privileged.
I would also like to know that if there are new migrants, young migrant who come in the country, not just New Zealand, any other country they migrate to, and they were trained dancer back in there. But, when you come to new country, there are other things as well that you have to take care of. One thing is, expenses. So that, yes, you have to work out how will you manage expenses, because these countries, especially the Western world countries, are more expensive compared to India. So, how do they balance their emotion between their passion of dance or music and then working or going into a full time desk job or any other professional job?
Mm, yeah, it is. It's very difficult. It is tricky because I work full time. I work full time because for me, at least for me, dance and music, it's my passion. So I don't know, I always fear that if I make dance or music as my profession, I might actually lose that happiness that I get from that. So I work full time so that I can maintain my family, or we can maintain the family, and I find time to do the other part so that I get that inner peace, as I said earlier. So I think it won't be easy in any Western country, because you have to work full time, you have to look after the family, you have to do your own um cleaning or cooking, whatever chores that you have at house, and then you find the time to do your dance or music or art or any other hobby that makes you feel better. But I think it's all about prioritizing things. So if you have the um, instinct, or if you have the mindset to do that, you will find the time. It's all about keeping the right mindset, I would say. So that nothing is impossible if you have the right mindset.
Any message that you would like to give to our migrant community, be it parents or young children or anyone who has got interest in the Indian traditional dance or music?
Oh, yes. They're all living in a different environment than to wherever they were born or wherever their parents were born. But let them embrace the world. But doesn't mean that they have to stop showing pride in their heritage. So embrace the world, but still show pride in your heritage. You don't have to replace one with the other.
Thank you, Umaji. It's been absolute pleasure to have you with us today. I'm sure there is a lot of learning that people will get from you, as well as it really makes me feel proud to be talking to someone who has dedicated their life for preserving the culture, not only in New Zealand, but started preserving the culture at a very young age and made it your life's motto to continue the tradition and pass it on to the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shampi, for having me. It was a pleasure too.
Thank you to our listeners for listening to the show. See you in the next episode with a new story.